At 240 pounds, I used to think I was just big boned. Turns out I was actually just a big back. And honestly, I kind of still am, just in a good way. I've probably made every single mistake there is, but I refused to give up, worked through those mistakes, and eventually realized it wasn't my genetics, it wasn't my metabolism. At the end of the day, it was just a deficit of knowledge and a lack of self-control. Once I stopped lying to myself, built these 10 habits I could stick to, I dropped like 40% body fat, leaned out, gained confidence, and got the physique that I knew I was capable of having. And today I'm going to give you all 10 of those habits, nothing complicated, nothing extreme, just the kind of blueprint and framework I followed to go from stuck and fat as hell to lean and actually somewhat happy with how I look in the mirror. So with that in mind, if you copy these habits, you will lose fat. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. So whether you want to lose 10% body fat, 40%, or get down to 10% body fat, I would say this might be worth watching to the end. If you want me to work with you one-on-one to help you work towards your fat loss goals, first link in the description. I can save you a lot of the trial and error that I had to go through on my journey. One of the first things I implemented that I really should have focused on sooner, I think this was one of the biggest game changers when it came to my transformation, putting protein first. Every single meal, no exceptions. Protein's the most important nutrient when you're trying to drop fat. Everyone wants to overcomplicate fat loss with magic diets, weird supplements, and secret workout plans, but none of it really matters if you don't get your protein right. There's 3 things protein does that makes it a no-brainer for fat loss. First, it keeps you full. If you're always hungry, you're gonna binge, you're gonna quit, and you're gonna end up right back where you started. Protein literally kills cravings because it slows digestion and keeps you satisfied for hours. Second, it preserves muscle when you're in a deficit. And yeah, losing fat is good, but if you lose a ton of muscle along with it, you'll just look flat and weak, kind of like a dried out little spaghetti noodle. Protein protects your lean mass, so the weight you lose ends up mostly being fat. And third, protein has what's called a higher thermic effect, which means your body actually burns more calories digesting protein compared to carbs or fat. So you burn calories literally just by eating it. I would say the greatest benefit of this was that it kind of just led my calories to naturally being lower, because when you're full, it's a lot easier to stop snacking. When you're fully satisfied, you don't binge, or at least it's way harder to. So if you want to lose fat without feeling miserable, constantly fighting hunger and destroying your muscle mass, put protein first. Habit 2 is the one most people ignore, and it's the reason why they spin their wheels for months or years. Tracking honestly. I've had periods where for months I swore I was eating 2,000 calories a day, and I'd even kind of complain to myself a little bit, get disappointed when the scale didn't go down. Like, I'm in a deficit, but nothing's happening. What the hell's going on? But the truth is, I wasn't really in a deficit at all, and I was lying to myself, probably eating like 2,600, 2,800, maybe even up to like 3,000 calories some days. It's not like I was eating an entire box of zebra cakes every night telling myself, yeah, I'm in a deficit. I never logged sauces or condiments, ketchup, mayo, barbecue sauce. All that stuff adds up throughout the day. I'm a big peanut butter and jelly guy. Right now I use powdered peanut butter, but there was a point when I was still dieting while eating regular peanut butter, and I never weighed or measured my peanut butter. What I thought was a tablespoon was honestly probably like 3 or 4, which turns out to be hundreds of extra calories. And on top of that, my parents loved to keep the pantry fully stocked at all times, so I was constantly snacking and grazing. Handful of chips here, couple bites of leftovers there. None of it went in MyFitnessPal, but all of it went in my body. To be honest, the day everything changed was when I finally sucked it up and bought a $10 food scale off of Amazon. Suddenly, I realized how far off my eyeballing really was. The spoonful of peanut butter I thought was 90 calories, actually 200. Drizzle of olive oil in the pan, another 120. And then, by the end of the day, I was blowing through my deficit without even realizing. When I forced myself to log absolutely everything, oils, sauces, condiments, snacks, even just the one bite moments where it really is like 30 calories, I realized the problem wasn't my genetics, my metabolism, or my hormones or something. The problem was me, and I was just eating more than I admitted. And once I faced that reality and tracked honestly, the fat started coming off like clockwork. The third habit was simple, but super game-changing. Honestly, one of the easiest ones to actually start doing immediately. I stopped drinking my calories. Look, I used to slam sodas, sweet teas, even healthy smoothies, and I wondered why I was stuck. Well, it's because you can sip down like 300 to 400 calories in minutes and still be hungry right after. It's literally the worst deal ever in nutrition. Complete opposite of the Louisiana Purchase. I'm such a dork. So I flipped it. I started chugging diet soda, Coke Zero, flavored sparkling water, all 0 calories, and the same craving satisfied, but without wasting hundreds of calories every day. People love to hate on diet soda, but let's be real, it's 0 calories. It doesn't matter what the internet fearmongers say. If it helps you hit your deficit and drop fat, it's doing its job. And it wasn't just drinks. I stopped drinking protein shakes too. Hear me out. Yeah, shakes have protein, and when you really need it, they are pretty convenient. But they don't fill you up whatsoever. You just slam like 150 to 200 calories in 10 seconds, and now you're still hungry. I think it's just kind of a rookie mistake sometimes. So instead, I turned those same calories into higher volume foods that were actually filling and of substance, so there's something going in my stomach. Protein ice cream, little pre-made snacks, desserts, things that actually keep me satisfied. And I've got all my recipes inside of my coaching program. It's honestly one of the biggest aspects of it that my clients love, custom recipes built for you on request. So if you want like a little fucking Debbie cake or something, I'll figure out how to make a low calorie, high protein version of it. It's about learning to take those same 200 calories you would have drank into a giant bowl of protein ice cream instead of a sad, empty shake. Use those calories on foods that actually fill you up, not drinks that disappear in 5 seconds. I think this next one is the most underrated fat loss tool there is, and that's just walking more. Most people think cardio has to mean running, sprinting, or some brutal hit workout that leaves you drenched in sweat. You don't need to crush yourself to burn calories. It's not sustainable. When I first started, I wasn't running marathons or doing crazy spin classes. All I did was start tracking my steps and aiming for 3,000 to 5,000 more than I was already doing. And that one change alone started pushing the scale down because the calorie burn adds up over time. These days, I'm averaging like maybe 8 to 10 miles a day because I've built my routine around using my treadmill desk. I literally just walk while I work or while I'm playing video games. Don't let that scare you. You don't need to start there. Like, the whole point is walking is super low stress. It doesn't crush your recovery or spike your hunger like running sometimes does. And the best part is you can stack it with things you're already doing. You can walk while listening to a podcast, catching up on calls, studying, or even just to clear your head. I honestly think walking is the secret weapon no one wants to admit is super effective because it just kind of feels too easy. But that's the point. It is easy, and that's exactly why it works. So if you're stuck and thinking maybe you need to add another crazy workout or slash your calories way lower, odds are you don't. You just need to walk more, and over weeks and months, those calories add up to thousands of extra calories burned. And that's exactly what gets fat loss moving again. Habit 5 was training hard with weights. The sad truth that a lot of people don't want to hear is that if you only diet and you only do cardio, yeah, you'll lose weight. The scale will go down, but when you look in the mirror, you probably won't like what's underneath. You'll just look like a smaller, softer version of yourself. That's what people call skinny fat. You're lighter, but you don't have any shape. And the way you fix that is with resistance training. Lifting weights, pushing yourself, and focusing on that progressive overload. That's what builds the muscle that gives your body the actual shape once the fat actually does come off. And you don't need to train like a bodybuilder or spend 3 hours a day every day in the gym. Even just 3 or 4 solid lifting sessions a week can completely change how your body looks. But the key here is effort. You have to actually train hard, get close to failure, and push yourself to get stronger over time. Cardio will shrink you, but lifting is going to be what sculpts you. Think about it like this: the cardio and the diet help reveal what's there, but if there's nothing built underneath, there's nothing to reveal. Habit 6 is learning to use cardio as a tool instead of using it like punishment. When I first started, I absolutely dreaded cardio. I really thought it had to be like endless sprints, burpees, or some brutal hit workout where you just collapse on the floor after. And because I hated it, I could never stay consistent. But once I reframed cardio for what it actually is, just a tool to increase your overall calorie deficit, it became so much easier. That's all cardio really is. It's just calories out. It's not punishment or torture. It's simply another lever you can pull to make fat loss happen faster. Instead of forcing myself into workouts I hated, I found ways to stack cardio into my life to where it doesn't even feel like working out. Hitting the recumbent bike while playing Clash Royale. Going for walks at night, genuinely just blasting music and clearing my head a little bit. And all of that ends up burning hundreds of calories with me barely even noticing. Habit 7 is daily weigh-ins, but only focusing on the weekly average. Here's the reality. The scale tends to lie just a little bit day to day. Eat a salty meal and you might go up like 3 pounds overnight. Drink more water than usual and maybe it spikes a little bit too. Burn through glycogen from a workout and it'll drop. Hit a workout after maybe not hitting one for 4 or 5 days and maybe it goes up a little bit because your body sends water retention into your muscles for recovery. None of that has anything to do with fat gain or fat loss. It's just normal fluctuations in your body. When I used to weigh myself once a week, sometimes it really would drive me insane. If the number went up, I'd totally panic, slash my calories way lower, add in extra cardio, and usually end up binging a few days later because I felt so restricted. It was honestly a super vicious cycle. But once I started weighing myself daily, I finally saw what was really happening. By looking at the weekly average of your weight, you can see the real trend that's going on. Maybe on Tuesday, the scale said I was up, and then by Friday or Saturday, the average is down half a pound, which told me I was on track. Daily weigh-ins also kind of kill that emotional roller coaster a little bit. You know, maybe you go 2 weeks without weighing yourself, kind of feels like gambling. Doing it daily kind of takes away some of that investment, excitement, and or attachment you might have to the number on the scale. This mindset shift will keep you consistent instead of reactive. Habit 8, setting realistic timelines for my fat loss. Honestly, this one crushed me for years. I used to really think I could get shredded in like 4 weeks, slash calories, starve myself, lose a few pounds, just totally binge out of control, and then gain it all back, over and over again. But the truth is, fat loss takes months, sometimes years. Dropping 10% body fat is not a quick process. It's never gonna be an overnight transformation, and once I finally accepted that, stopped playing like the all or nothing game, and I just committed to patience, the results actually stuck. Think about it like this: if it took you years to gain the fat, why would it just disappear in a couple of weeks? It won't, and that's totally okay. Because the slower you go, the more likely you are to retain those results forever. Fast fat loss almost always ends in fast fat gain, but slow fat loss builds the habits you'll actually maintain to keep it off. When you give yourself enough time, 3 months, 6 months, maybe even longer, the process becomes sustainable instead of just being a crash diet. Once I stopped rushing, I finally stopped yo-yoing. And patience isn't sexy, but it's honestly the real reason I was able to get lean and maintain my fat loss results. Habit 9 was literally just swapping out snacks instead of cutting them out completely. This was huge for me because I used to think the only way to lose fat was by going cold turkey. No snacks, no treats, and nothing fun. And every time I tried to do that, I completely failed because honestly, who wants to live like that? Instead of just banning snacks, I simply changed them. Chips turned into Drizzlicious 90-calorie snack packs, or maybe Smart Pop popcorn. Regular bread got swapped out for low-calorie keto bread. Fried chicken, Real Good chicken tenders gave me the same taste, but without the same calories and a substantial amount of protein. The key here is volume. It's about choosing stuff that gives you more food for the least amount of calories possible. So I could eat a big serving, feel satisfied, and still stay in my calorie deficit. And that's why I stuck with it, because my diet didn't feel like punishment anymore. When your diet feels normal, like you're just eating the same foods that you're wanting to eat, you'd be eating anyways, you can actually keep going for months and turn it into a long-term transformation. When you try to resist cravings forever and go crazy about it, you'll fail. It's just human nature. So don't cut snacks or foods that you like to eat, just swap them out with smarter options. That's how you succeed in the long run. And finally, habit 10, consistency above everything else. I'll be honest, I was far from perfect. I binged, I skipped workouts. I had days where I felt like garbage and just didn't want to do anything. But the difference between the old me and the new me was I didn't quit when that happened. I just kept going the next day. Most people fail because they expect perfection. They think if they mess up once, it's totally over, quitting after 1 or 2 bad days, 1 bad weekend, or 1 little binge. And that's why they never make progress. But the reality is, consistency beats perfection every single time. 1 bad day won't ruin you, but quitting will. If you keep showing up even when you're not perfect, you'll make progress. I lost fat because I refused to quit, built the habit of showing up no matter what. That consistency eventually compounded into results, and then I figured out along the way, through all those mistakes, the strategies and how to dial everything in, not only to keep me more consistent, but to get more bang for my buck out of the effort I was putting in. So remember this, you don't need perfection, you just need consistency. That's the habit that ties us all together and makes this whole fat loss process actually work.